Welcome to This Explainer. You know, we live in this hyper-connected world where it feels like every single inch of the planet has been mapped out, right? But have you ever wondered if there are still places completely untouched by modern society? A place where a smartphone is literally useless and where just stepping foot on the sand is not only illegal, but practically impossible? Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at a real-world forbidden island sitting right in the middle of the Indian Ocean. We're going to break down the facts, the geography, and exactly why this place remains completely sealed off from the rest of humanity. Seriously, imagine an island where outsiders are completely forbidden. I mean, it sounds like the plot of some Hollywood adventure movie, doesn't it? Like this hidden world protected by fierce guardians. But actually, this isn't fiction, it's reality. If you were to try and land a boat on the shores of this island, you'd be met by local people actively defending their home with bows and arrows. It's just a stunning reality to think about in our modern era. This place is known as North Sentinel Island. So, let's talk about the geography of North Sentinel Island. Being part of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands, its location honestly acts as a natural fortress. Getting there isn't just a simple matter of pointing a boat in the right direction. First off, the island is completely blanketed in these dense, thick forests that hide the entire interior from view. And on top of that, it's surrounded by really treacherous coral reefs. So even before the legal barriers kick in, those reefs make it incredibly dangerous for any modern boat to even get close. And yes, as a result of all this, entry is strictly prohibited by law. To really understand why this strict law exists, we have to look at the term uncontacted indigenous peoples. Basically, these are communities that have lived in profound isolation for thousands of years, with very little to zero contact with the outside world. And that perfectly describes the Sentinelese. Because of this incredibly long isolation, researchers are entirely in the dark. We know virtually nothing about their language, their culture, or what their daily life looks like. It's essentially a self-sustaining society existing completely parallel to our own history. It's so easy to look at this from the outside and just see it as this massive mystery we need to solve. But let's move to and see how this builds from a sensational mystery into a stark medical reality. Why is visiting forbidden? Well, primarily it's to protect the Sentinelese themselves. The rules keeping us out aren't there to punish the outside world. They act as a totally necessary shield. And the core reason for the shield comes down to one thing: biology. And this brilliantly illustrates the invisible danger here: a clash of immune systems. See, because we live in a massive, globalized society, our modern immunity is pretty well equipped to handle common bugs. We pass germs around every single day, and our bodies just adapt. But isolated immunity is an entirely different story. Folks living in that kind of profound isolation have basically zero defense against the diseases you and I consider routine, like influenza or measles. Someone dropping by with just a mild sniffle could unintentionally introduce a pathogen that would be absolutely devastating to the entire Sentinelese community. Protecting their health is really the main reason this island is off limits. Which brings us to a really crucial question. Why do they reject outsiders? We know why we stay away, but why do they push us away so fiercely? Well, the answer lies in the very few historical encounters that have actually happened. The Sentinelese have made it abundantly, perfectly clear they just want to be left alone. Think back to the 2004 tsunami. When helicopters flew overhead just to check on them, the Sentinelese literally stood on their beaches, aiming bows and arrows at these massive, noisy machines. It's this incredible visual of Stone Age tools actively fending off modern aviation, a very clear, unmistakable defense of their home. So the crucial point is how this exclusion zone is enforced today. Travel is completely prohibited by the Indian government. You absolutely cannot just rent a boat and go there. It requires special authorization that honestly is virtually never granted. It's a really brilliant dual-purpose legal approach when you think about it. It actively safeguards the Sentinelese community from those devastating diseases we talked about, while at the same time preventing outsiders from putting themselves in grave danger by approaching a shore that is fiercely defended. You might be wondering, what does it actually look like? Well, as one observation notes, satellite images show a lush, tropical island with thick forests and white sandy beaches. Since researchers obviously can't just walk onto the island to map things out, they have to rely on this view from space. And from up there, it looks like an absolute paradise. But because researchers cannot freely explore it, that super dense forest canopy acts like an impenetrable roof. The whole interior, the villages, the pathways, the local ecosystem, it all remains a complete blank spot on our modern maps. What this isolation creates is essentially a place frozen in time. North Sentinel Island is one of the very few communities left on our planet largely untouched by modern civilization. Just think about that for a second. In our hyper-connected reality, where we can instantly video chat with someone on the other side of the globe, there is an island where people have actively chosen to preserve their traditional way of life. They've completely rejected the modern world. And honestly, it's kind of a wild reminder that technology hasn't consumed absolutely everything. We're going to wrap up this explainer with one final, powerful thought. The greatest mystery of North Sentinel Island is not what the world knows about it, but how much remains unknown. It really challenges this assumption we have today that everything in the world just has to be explored, categorized, and fully understood. Maybe, just maybe, some places are meant to remain a mystery. And perhaps the absolute greatest sign of respect we can show the Sentinelese is just leaving them alone, valuing the unknown just as much as the known. It certainly leaves you pondering, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking questions.